Hello and welcome to the Neve Virtual Book Club. My name is Karthika. I'm the head of reading at Neve Academy. Through this module, what we'd like to do is we'd like to introduce you to some of the best Indian children's books that have come out in the past year. Today, we're going to be looking at a middle grade novel called The Bridge Home, written by Padma Venkatraman and published by Penguin Random House. The Bridge Home tells us the story of two sisters, 11-year-old Viji and her older sister Ruku, who has a developmental disorder. Both of them come from a home where their mother is very loving but is unable to stand up to the abuse meted out by their father. Viji decides that it would be better for both sisters to take their chances at a life away from home. They run away and escape to the streets of Chennai. With no guardian, no one to look after them, no money saved up, both girls end up forging a life on the streets with the help of two boys, Arul and Muthu, who are veterans, hardened by their life on the streets. The gang of four is joined by a stray dog named Kutti, who makes up the complete pack. All four of them eke out a living by scavenging in the garbage mounds of Chennai. They end up living rough. They end up living on a bridge, an abandoned bridge by the side of the road, which is one reason why the book is so named, but also because of all the other layers that the story presents. And at home, what we're confronted with is the reality that a lot of children in our country face every day. What are the circumstances that led them to a life on the streets? What are the decisions that they're faced with every day? What is the price of freedom? What is it that we truly gain? What is it that we lose in the process? There are a lot of questions that come up as we're reading the book. We had a few more questions for Padma, so we decided to set up an interview with her, a Q&A. And let's hear from her now. So let me start with the first question, which actually struck me while I was going through all of the material on your website. And I was looking at the questions that children have asked you and how you've responded to them. And they've made so many connections that you don't anticipate. I mean, you might think of a few questions that readers might possibly come up with, but there were some questions that sort of took you by surprise. For instance, when we were doing the book at Neve, and I know we did it with grade 7 students, there was a child who said that I loved the book and I connected to it because of the story of Kutti. And Kutti really brought that book alive for her. And I know that in your website, you've talked about, there was a reader called Liz who talked to you and asked you a question about how do you make a character so well defined without having her speak so much, like you've done with Ruku. And then you also had questions and you had feedback from people coming back to you and telling you that the book helped them move from vulnerable situations to safer spaces. Yeah. So are there any other connections like that that you didn't anticipate readers making but which sort of caught you by surprise?
I think that was the most amazing thing for me. I mean, I don't think when I wrote it that I was really, for me, it was just keeping a promise that I gave, a long time ago.
Right.
And I didn't really even realize that. Frankly, I didn't even realize that when I was writing. Only when I was revising did I really come to terms with that. I think the most amazing thing to me and the biggest gift I could ever have, Karthika, is that fact that some children and some adults moved to better situations when they read the book.
Right.
And they felt that connection. One other connection that I think was important for me is that when I go and speak at schools, usually this is, it's also through Ruku. All of my books so far have somebody with a disability.
Right.
And it's because, I have one too, and we don't talk about we don't talk about especially anything to do with like mental illness or, anything that has any kind of taboo, whether it's that or whether it's a developmental disability, especially that we shove it aside a lot.
Right.
I think in our culture right now, right, things have always changed. I mean, India has we have 6,000, so many years of culture,
right.
But things change. But right now it's not, it's not very open. Right. In some ways. And I think that's very important. So when I say, look, I deal with anxiety and I deal with depression. And so maybe because of that, and because of the fact that there are people in my family with disabilities, one of my aunts actually has polio. So she's a polio survivor.
Okay.
And she is like the most active of all of my aunts. You know, when they're all sitting around chatting, she's the one who's always playing with the kids.
Right.
But, you know, to me, I think that was a very important thing to be able to say. And listen, it took me 40 years, okay? I didn't start off by being able to say these things, that I have trauma in, you know, from my childhood. Who knows what caused what the issues that I deal with, but I have to think about my mental health every day.
Right.
And it's something that it's a part of my life. You know, I don't feel that it's it just makes me different, but all of us are different, right? And so that's something for me. I think that was a connection that's important. And it was really good for me to be able to make that, I think, because when I speak about that openly with kids, then maybe they have a relative, or maybe they have, you know, a condition themselves, and they're able to then open up. And that's another connection. And especially with Ruku, because, you know, so many kids that have a person with a disability in the family, especially developmental disability, they, you know, have that special connection. And overall in the world, I found through the global read aloud that Roku is like by far everybody's favorite character. It seems, you know, so many people like, I love Roku, and they just love her, because I think there's an aspect of childhood in which we don't speak much.
Right.
You know, even if we're a little shy or something like that. And I think, in a sense, maybe that is something that connects them to Ruku as well. And she's so feisty.
Right. Yeah.
She doesn't say much.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Now that you mentioned it, I can see how readers could make that connection. And also, it's so evident that, you know, there's so much of you that's in the book, and it's obviously deeply personal to you. So it must feel really fulfilling for you to have it out there. So is that also one of the reasons why, you know, I went to your website and I see all of the resources that you've curated, and then you have the Padlet, and then you have the blog, and you had extensive interactions on it because of the Global Read Aloud. I've not seen a lot of authors put this much depth and go into this much detail about the background and the setting and the characters of a book. So was this what drove it, the fact that it was a labor of love? Or the fact that it's just something that you felt that you wanted to put out there to clarify nuances that you think that people might not get otherwise? What was it?
I think a bit of both. You've touched on both things. I mean, for me, it was a very personal book. It, you know, again, it took me a long time. It's my fourth novel.
Right.
So, and I think that was part of it. And part of it was also being able to, at this stage, speak openly about some things. Because the other thing that we don't really address is how, you know, there's a lot of gender bias.
Right.
And when I was growing up, there was a lot of gender bias also.
Yes.
You know, even within my family, there was gender bias. And people will not speak about that, and they don't like to hear that. But there are still practices that we continue that are constantly, you know, reinforcing this idea that you know, somehow women are not okay. And I've come across books, sometimes written, you know, from people within the culture, trying to be very nice and trying to be open about ideas, and yet being parochial, and it incenses me sometimes. You know, how much of this is insidious, how much of this is inside, and we don't even examine it.
Fair enough. And I know that there are publishers in India now who are trying to fight this very consciously and try to bring out books that sort of reflect more contemporary attitudes. And therefore, there's a clear sort of breed of new books coming out that are trying to correct these sort of viewpoints. On that note of thinking about books and stories, may I ask, you've already mentioned on your blog and your website that you have an affinity for character names that start with V, because it's sort of a tribute to somebody who's very dear to you. So do you have a new book, an idea for a new book? Does it have a character whose name starts with V? And you promised one of your readers that there might be a cameo by someone from the Bridge Home in that book. So I was just wondering if it's gotten that far.
So my aunt Vishalam is the one that, you know, she's a lovely person. So I always think about her. Hope she's watching now from wherever she is up above. But So yeah, I am thinking about a book, and I need all of your blessings, Kartika, and everybody else in India and everywhere all around the world that it will happen. So actually, today, in a few hours, I'm going to talk to my editor about that. And indeed, in actually two of the possible ideas that I have, but they're both up there, the kids will have a cameo appearance.
Ooh,
Yeah, so you
yay.
might get a glimpse of what happens to these kids, but not like in a not
Right,
too much, but
right.
guest
Oh,
appearance.
excellent. Wow, we're already excited.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
that
so much.
yeah, thank you so much, Padma. This is lovely. We hope that we'll get to meet you sometime.
I
But
hope
thank you so much for taking the time out to do this for us.
see you all.
Hopefully soon. Fingers crossed.